Alrighty, it is 32 minutes past 7 a.m. on the penultimate day in the month, in the year 2024. It is the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. We love music, we love life. We love to take a look at the news stories and have great conversation as well. This is Freshly Pressed on a Monday and on a brand new week as well. Ayokunmi here, ready to walk you through the major stories that have been making the rounds in the papers in the last 24 to 48 hours. Analysis will follow, as well as your views, your perspectives, your opinions, your thoughts on the stories. We love to hear from you always. And you can always join us to share your thoughts on WhatsApp and on YouTube as well. The WhatsApp number remains 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number. So please do also share your thoughts there. Keep your messages short, concise, easy to read. That makes it a whole lot easier for me to get through each and every one of them. Thank you very much. You can also join us on YouTube. Drop your comment there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. I mean, it's two things you do on YouTube. One, you drop your comments there, and also to check out the new background that AB has up. Yes, it's a beautiful building right there. And his T-shirt also spreading a message of hope. So hope is something we definitely need to hold on to as we end 2024 and get into 2025. If you've lost hope, that T-shirt will inspire you to find said hope. Never lose hope. It's something we need to hold on to. My analyst for the morning, AB, Bozimo, and of course, Mr. C. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you on a Monday morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C, and good morning to all of our very hopeful and wonderful listeners. 2024 is almost over. 2025 is but a step away. We will improve our situation. Of that, I have no doubts.
Good morning, AB. Good morning, Naira. Good morning, Lagos. Welcome back from the holidays. Let's close out 2024 very well, and let's look forward to all the good things 2025 has to offer.
Amen to that. I mean, I claim it. You know, like Nigerians say, I claim it all the time. Yes, I claim it, but let's put in the work as well. They have to go hand in hand. But anyways, let's begin our sojourn this morning, Mr. C, in the Daily Trust newspaper. And this is once again another update to the incident that happened in Sokoto State on Christmas Day, the unfortunate incident. And now Vice President Kashim Shettima has extended his condolences to the government and people of Sokoto State over the killing of about 10 civilians in an airstrike targeted at the Lakurawa terrorist group at Gidan Sama and Rumtua communities in Islamic local government area. Unfortunate incident there. And just to recap, the Nigerian Air Force spokesperson, Air Vice Marshal Olushola Akiboyewa, had insisted that the airstrike was carried out based on credible intelligence from multiple sources and confirmatory aerial surveillance. The military had, doubled down and said that particular airstrike was targeted at terrorists, and it was the terrorists who were taking out. Different story on the ground where the people in the community said civilians were killed, and an investigation has been is underway, basically to find out the true situation of things. Now, looking at the Vice President Shettima, extending condolences and apologizing and so on and so forth. Now, I mean, it's something that you would expect the president and the vice president to do. But on the flip side, could this also be construed as the powers that be knowing that, hey, this particular airstrike, it went awry. And even though we've doubled down that it wasn't the way it actually panned out, could this be, should I say, some more damage control, trying to lay the groundwork for an eventual, I'm not saying it's the case, but could it be laying the groundwork for an eventual trying to soothe over the whole thing when it comes out that it wasn't the exact way the military said?
Okay, so thank you, Ayo. Now, again, our thoughts continue to go out to the families of those who lost their lives in the airstrikes and even the other airstrikes that happened in 2024, because we've lost at least 70 Nigerian souls in similar airstrikes in 2024 alone. Now, it's instructive that the vice president has issued a statement admitting that innocent people were hit, were unlawfully killed, knowing that an investigation had been launched. But with the previous airstrikes and talks of reports or investigations being conducted, we've not seen any conclusive or final report into any of the previous investigations. Now, there's a very interesting thread going on here, especially with the vice president, because his statement is at complete dissonance with the rest of the administration. When you look at the military's position right from the moment the news broke forth, the military has consistently maintained a unified front from the Nigerian Army to the Nigerian Air Force that they hit the targets they were aiming for and that we should disabuse our minds of propaganda being released by sympathizers to terrorists. Now, the vice president is saying none of that, that you actually hit people, we're sorry, or we remain committed to taking the fight to these non-state actors, especially the terrorists, to a final and conclusive end. Now, like I said, there's some interesting dots with the vice president. This is the second time that he will take a position at marked variance with the administration, and we continue to watch to see how this plays out in the run-up to the 27 elections. But this is a very decent, a very commendable move from the vice president. Own up to your mistakes, stop the storytelling, stop the passing the buck mantra or phenomenon that is common with governments and its agencies. And beyond all of this, yes, we've received the apology, we've received the admission, but what steps are being taken to ensure that an incident like this is not repeated again? Does it include retraining the Air Force officers, especially the pilots? Does it also include retraining intelligence officers, especially the ones on the ground who provide the coordinates for the airstrikes to be launched? Does it also include upgrading our human intelligence gathering capabilities to ensure that when we receive information, there are independent processes to filter and confirm such information received, such that innocent people are not killed again? More importantly, will there be compensation paid out to the families of these innocent people that lost their lives? And I'm not just talking about this particular airstrike, all the airstrikes.
All the others.
The individuals have names, they have identities, they have lives. What is the process for compensating them? And then what is the process for ensuring that any officer of the Nigerian Armed Forces who is found to have blatantly disregarded the instructions given to him and done the wrong thing is adequately sanctioned and disciplined? These are the things we would have loved to hear from the vice president, confirming that they are underway with the relevant institutions, with the relevant authorities. But this is a step in the right direction. At least we've gotten a public admission of failure to do the proper thing, a public admission that the wrong people were killed. And let's hope that this is a sign or omen of better things to come from the government as we head into 2025.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts, Mr. C. AB. You want to get a word in here?
Very quickly, we spoke about this on Friday, and my main problem then was just the tone of the head of the army at the time. Sometimes, in the best of circumstances, collateral damage happens. I just felt that the tone taken by that person in that news story was inappropriate and rather cold. Again, nobody wants terrorists killed more than me. I'm like a lawyer. To me, if you are seen to be a terrorist, I'm not ready for due process because you are torturing Nigerians' lives. I know that's not the right way, but it's my inner sentiment. That said, when mistakes are made, as sometimes happens, all we wanted is exactly what the vice president has said. You know what? We acknowledge that this may be the case, and we're looking into it. That, as Mr. C said, is the foundation of anything better to come.
All right. Thank you for that, AB. Let's head into the vanguard and talk about customs. Let's talk about petrol as well. The Nigeria Customs Service has announced plans to auction 15,325 liters of seized premium motor spirit, that's PMS, aka petrol, at 400 naira per liter to help ease transportation challenges during the festive season. Hussein Ejibuno, the national coordinator of the service's Operation Whirlwind, made this announcement on Saturday during a press briefing at the Customs Training College in Ikeja here in Lagos. Now, he revealed that the seized petrol valued at 27.5 million naira was confiscated during operations conducted in Lagos and Ogun states as well. So, seized petrol is going to be auctioned off. A number of questions to ask here, AB. Is this the most appropriate thing to do? Number one. Number two, those the petrol was seized from, what's going to happen to them? Who are they? What's the next step? And then, very, very importantly, in the light of recent happenings in Ibadan, in Anambra State, in Abuja as well, is this going to be a well-coordinated effort to avoid a repeat of those instances?
First of all, you hear this story, customs to auction sees petrol at 400 naira per liter, and you go into the body of story to ease transportation challenges. And you ask, really, how, where, who, when, why, how? Do you know that it's 15,000 liters? Do you know that as you are there in the studio, if you look out of the window, you will see a truck carrying 33,000 liters, the standard petrol tanker. This is about half of one tanker. I ask you, how is this going to ease transportation costs during this festive season? Half of one tanker. You see, it's almost as if some organizations are trying to get themselves in the news. I'm not saying that this isn't a pain to the people who were, I don't know, they seized it. I wonder why it was seized. I didn't necessarily see in the story why it was during operations for what? Is it PMS or is it not PMS? I didn't hear that it's like, the oil that they always bomb and destroy the environment in the Niger Delta. This is PMS. So what made it seizable? Was it big? And then they're saying it's going to be sold. I'm hearing this 25 liters. That sounds like jerry cans. Or are you about to feed it into somebody's petrol station and then dispense it? Otherwise, are you not creating a safety problem? You are now lining people up to give them 25 liter jerry cans. That sounds primitive, crude, backward, and unimaginative. Again, and the most important thing, it was seized. From whom, how, why especially? PMS is petrol. Why was this particular petrol seizable? So, but the ultimate thing is you hear this headline about reducing the transport costs. All of us know the transport costs have gone up at Christmas. I'm afraid half of one petrol tanker of fuel is even less than a drop in the ocean. Less than one drop in the ocean of people needing petrol. So I just think this is a story that is highly overblown. Go ahead, auction it. Please give us the background. Who was this seized from? Where are they? What processes are being done to make sure that they don't become fresh people that seize in the future? But it's just a story. To me, it's a noise-making story. Half of one jerry can is not half of 1 liter of one petrol tanker sold or provided in 25 liters portions. Sounds one, dangerous, two, sounds unnecessary, and three, just sound like a news story for the sake of the headline. I'm not impressed.
Okay, so let me quickly jump in on this. I agree with AV completely, and I'm going to add two interesting points. Point number one, where exactly is this auction taking place within Nigeria? They were extremely silent on the venue. They were also extremely silent on the modalities. Are they accepting cash? Are we paying into the federal government treasury? What exactly is the procedure? Then, more importantly, if this petrol was seized, presumably human beings were arrested with this petrol. Now, if you're already auctioning off the petrol, what that then means is that there will be no exhibits before the court during the supposed prosecutions. How then is the Nigerian Customs Service expecting to secure convictions if the exhibits are planned to be disposed of already? finally, what does that say about our proclaimed fight against corruption in all forms and manners? But this is Nigeria. We watch.
We watch, we wait, and we'll see how things pan out. Let's take a quick break. When we come back in, we'll get back into the stories. And of course, a whole lot more to come. We'll be talking about Serap. Once again, they are in the news. Want to find out what it is they're all about right now? Keep it tuned to Freshly Pressed right here on Smooth 98.1.
Please, you will take number 6 for me before that number 5.
Yeah. I had already put it in mind that that's
Okay,
reason.
thanks.
I will leave it. I'll leave it till last. We might not even get there eventually. So
That's unless we have too much time.
Oh my days.
Which is
I beg
never the
you.
case.
They should give us venue for this auction. No. Let me go
Yeah,
and
let us know.
let
There's
me
no
know.
We can all
venue.
go, we can stampede there too.
They should give us venue. I need petrol.
It's such a silly. It's half of one tanker. We are solving this. It sounds so silly.
Hmm. Let me carry my 10,000 naira to go and collect 25 liter keg. I mean,
I have 25-liter jerry can. I'll take it there. Maybe they'll put it for me with siphon. Somebody stock it and put it into my jerry can.
welcome back to Freshly Pressed on a Monday morning on Smooth 98.1. We love music and we love life as well. It is 48 minutes past 7 a.m. Ayokunmi here. And of course, AB and Mr. C are still with me this morning, taking a look at the stories, giving their analysis, and we are taking your thoughts as well. So please do well to send those thoughts in to us on WhatsApp. The number remains 0809 444 0981 0809 444 0981. Also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. AB still has his wonderful background right there. So if you're a budding architect or you just love architecture and buildings, you should check out his background there and his t-shirt as well. It says find hope here. Find that hope wherever it is you can. We definitely need it heading into 2025. Okay, let me take a message or two before we get back into the story concerning Serap. Josiah says, does customs now have a fueling station? If they auction to marketers, will they monitor and control how it is sold out? How do they intend to help reduce transportation cost? Let me not ask too much. I mean, not much. I mean, 15,000 liters, really. Sheon Odiase from Surulere says, concerning the Nigerian customs, no venue, no proper communication for safety. Feel that customs have shared already within themselves or has mysteriously evaporated. Sheon, you said it, not me. Anyways, keep those messages coming in on WhatsApp. Let's get back into the stories, Mr. C. This one is coming from the Daily Post. Now, the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to request the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, to publish his assets. Now, SERAP also appealed to the president to encourage Vice President Kashim Shettima, ministers, leaders of the National Assembly, state governors, and chairmen of Nigeria's 774 local governments to also request the CCB to publish their assets. Okay, well, Serap doing what Serap does, pushing the envelope and asking certain hard-hitting questions. But number one, I mean, asking these people in power to request the CCB to publish their assets. Number one, are they even going to want to do that? And number two, is there even a legal basis for them to request this?
Okay, thank you, Ion. So let's take it from the top. Under the Nigerian, by the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution, public officers are required, especially the elected ones. In fact, all of them, but the elected ones are required to publish their assets before assuming office. And when they finish that term of office, they're required to publish their assets again. But public officers each year have to declare their assets. And then public officers would include public servants and civil servants. Now, in the last media chat, the president did say that he was considering asking the CCB to publish his asset declarations. Now, this is the thing I found interesting about Nigerian law and the way we administer it. Such asset declarations are public documents. under Nigerian law, anyone can access a public document provided it doesn't have anything to do with national security by paying the required administrative fee and getting a copy, a certified copy of whatever document he's requesting for.
Okay.
So this whole business or arrangement of asset declarations are personal documents. That was some nonsense started, I think, under the Buhari administration. And shockingly, or rather unsurprisingly, nobody in the National Assembly has challenged this. Nobody has come out in court to challenge this. And the danger of going for someone like me going out to challenge it is I will always be faced with the hurdle or the impediment of local standard, meaning what is my interest in the matter, seeing that I am not a public officer, elected or unelected. Now, all this business of I'm considering it is neither here nor there. If you want to do it, do it. I remember the late President Yar'Adua actually did declare his assets. Even President Buhari declared his assets, even though we did not agree. Some people did not agree with the contents of the said declaration. If you want to set the example, there's nothing to consider. Publish your assets. Do it yourself. You have a copy of what you filed. Because when you make public filings, you always have your own copy. Why are you waiting for them? Declare your assets publicly. Then under that, people can then go to the CCB and check whether what you've declared or announced tallies is what you filed. So this business of I'm considering it, there's no time frame as to when it will be considered. Nobody knows what the outcome will be after the period of consideration. There's neither here nor there. This is really not a story. I must commend Serap. They continue to push ahead despite all the hurdles, the obstacles, but I do not see the current president declaring his assets. And I will be pleasantly surprised if he does so.
Okay, interesting take there, Mr. C. I mean, looking at what you said now, I mean, the president should be the one to lead by example here. And if he's not going to do that, looking at all the other officials here, talking about the vice president, ministers, National Assembly members, state government, the state governors, and so on and so forth. Now, as you mentioned earlier, as public officials, this is something that should actually be done. Is there any way to compel these public officials, president, governors, and so on and so forth, to actually publish these assets?
The only thing that will compel them to do that is to approach the courts and obtain an order of mandamus, which is a compulsory order compelling them to do something stated in the order. That is the only way to do that. But the real issue is getting to court. One, will you have a judge who is favorably disposed to upholding the Constitution in its entire form? I will not rely on technical obstacles like local standby to get in the way. These are the questions. Because if you meet a judge, who's bent towards technicalities, he'll just throw a local standard at you and that will be the end of the case. But really and truly, you cannot fight corruption in any form or manner or guise if you are not declaring your assets. How do we know what you have acquired or not acquired in the year under review? Because understandably, the president should not have acquired any significant property in the last 18 months. But is that really the case? I'm not saying he has. But if we don't know what he declared before assuming office, how are we supposed to know what he has now?
A lot of room is left for speculation. All right, we'll hold that in one hand. And EB, let's get into another story that has thrown up a lot of speculation as well, coming out of the Punch. Now, the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership has condemned the budgetary allocations of 6.36 billion naira for the renovation and rehabilitation of the residential quarters, beg your pardon, of President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima and some of their aides. Now, the federal government had proposed a total of 6,364,181,224 billion naira for the renovation and rehabilitation of the residential quarters of the president, vice president, and so on and so forth. Now, according to the proposed budget, 765 million will be used for the renovation of the vice president's quarters and guest house as well. Now, if I remember very correctly, the vice president's quarters were recently completed, uh, probably about 18 months or thereabouts ago, that raised a lot of dust and brouhaha and so on and so forth. Now, 765 is being proposed for renovation of said quarters and guest house. Is there another vice president's quarters that we're not aware of? Because I'm a little bit confused. Walk us through this one, AB.
First of all, it could not have been 18 months ago because the budget for providing that by the FCT was 21 billion naira sometime after they had started their term. Secondly, Mr. C, forgive me for intruding on a story you are going to handle. This is approximately 6.4 billion with a B naira to renovate buildings which arguably are brand new. I'm not saying that every building doesn't have systems that need a bit of touch-up, but for a brand new building that ostensibly was done properly, there should not be the need for such expensive renovation. You're going to change a light bulb or two, I understand. A door handle somehow slipped out of whack, that's okay. You know, there's this cracked tile, I get it, but not what will cost 6.4 billion. But here's the story that there is another story in today's news where the same federal government, and here this is a proposal, the same federal government is providing or proposing the princely sum of, please, I need this story headline, the princely sum of 40 billion for all 118 unity schools to secure them and provide power. So all 118 unity schools that must surely take care of hundreds of thousands of Nigerian students and the teachers and the people who work there are getting 40 billion. But for two houses or two residential things, we're talking 6 billion. Where is the proportionality in that? And this kind of tells you where you feel your treasures are. Like the last line of the story says, this is just sheer waste. This was according to the person who said, the person in charge, the executive director of the Center of Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, Debo Adeniran, said there's no need to renovate this building because everybody in them normally carried out renovations every year on every budget. And he said renovating is like washing plates that are already clean. It's just wastefulness. To me, I think there's this bad habit of just allocating money carelessly and callously towards these things as almost a fund that you can now use for other things. Because I cannot see why a building that is literally brand new, you are telling me you need to pay these kind of sums to renovate it. This just seems not just careless and callous, but corrupt. Yes, I said it. There is something wrong if a building has been properly constructed. And I cannot imagine that the building for the vice president or the residence of the president will be done in any shoddy manner. It's not done in any country. There should be, number one, there's this time frame where the contractor should be actually called back if anything is wrong to correct it and repair it. You don't make contracts like that just careless so that somebody external has to come and start renovating. So there is something very much amiss and afoot here. And in my view, they are creating slush funds for other purposes. That's my speculation.
Okay, very quickly, I agree again with everything Ebi has said. I just want to point out something. In the 2023 budget, 2.5 billion was one of the sums voted or approved and obviously released for the renovation of the president's quarters in Abuja. Now, this year, you want to renovate again. So, like Ebi said, two questions arise. The renovation last year, was it even done? If yes, was it done to completion? If yes, was it done satisfactorily? And if the answers to all of these questions are in the affirmative, the new question is, what exactly are you renovating this year? Now, if the answers to the previous questions are in the negative, The bigger question is, what have you done about it? Have you gone after the contractor? Why did he do such a shoddy job? Who signed off on it before he got his final payoffs? Because that's the way it should work, actually. Now, in this renovation, is the contractor or set of contractors, are they going to give you advance payment guarantees against the work they're supposed to do? Or are you just flooding them with cash before they even supposedly start any work? These are questions that need a lot of answers. Now, the VP's quarters, that is even more ridiculous, given that it was just launched or commissioned last year. So, what exactly are you looking to renovate to that magnitude in a newly commissioned home? But again, this is Nigeria, the land of many, many questions, very few answers. But we'll watch and see how things unfold.
As we always watch, as we always watch to see how things unfold. One thing I will say is, just because you can does not mean that you should.
You should. Obviously not.
Very instructive. Let's take messages as we round up this morning. Jerry says, I commiserate with the families of the the civilians killed. But my concern is these things happen frequently in other parts of the country with no terrorists, but yet not much fuss is being made. Killings in Christian-occupied areas of southern Kaduna, Jos, and Adamawa. If we continue in this manner of apologies, we aren't going anywhere in this fight, especially in the northern states. Knowing the terrorists use human shields, so it makes the fight a lot more cumbersome. Ibukun from K2 says, AB is very correct on what the VP should have said. Has there been any investigation and a report issued that the VP referred to? Public officials should be held accountable when they err, but let us bear in mind that terrorists don't always wear uniforms. It is wrong if family members were killed, and the armed forces should think of other means than bombing. All right. Uluwashe says, only people with something to hide will have problems publishing their assets. One of the reasons I had a problem with President Jonathan, despite his humble appearance. As for the vice president's residence, someone has to steal. We go day all right, last. Barrister Danukuda says, how half a tanker load of PMS will alleviate the fuel crisis remains a puzzle. It's puzzling all of us. And Idimapuza says, I just hope the seized petrol won't cause another tragedy when dispensing it to motorists, because there'll always be a rush for cheap items in Nigeria. This country is just too funny. I laugh in Kukwani language. All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and thank you, AB and Mr. C, for joining me on the final Freshly Pressed on a Monday in 2024. It's been a pleasure and a privilege.
Thank you. It's a new year. By the time I see you next, I wish you and Mr. C and all of the wonderful listeners a fabulous, fantastic, and focused 2025 and beyond.
Indeed.
Thank you. It's been a very interesting ride doing this on Mondays in 2024. And I wish everyone, Ayo, AB, all our listeners, a beautiful end to 2024. And when we meet again in 2025, to a year of increased hope, better promises, and manifestations of all the good things we want that life can offer. Take care.
Absolutely. Do have a great Monday and, of course, a great start to the week. Keep you tuned to Smooth 98.1. We'll get into the locker room at 8:15, talking about sports and a whole lot more.